Hey y'all, it's Courtney Durrell, aka Zegasis, coming to you today on Tuesday, December 28th, 2021. Just wanted to connect with you all on a particular topic, which is attachments versus connections. But before we get into that, let me just say check out my new website. It is www.magicofsacredarts.org. That's www.magicofsacredarts.org. So magicofsacredarts.org. That's a new website. I worked on it myself. Long hours and time and energy, effort put into it. So let me know what you think. I put up there my sacred services and my sacred support. In addition to that, different resources. So check it out. Hit me up at magicofsacredarts@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. If there are any questions or needs for clarification, let me know. I'll be more than happy to respond back and give you some feedback or some clarification or information as necessary. So, that is the plug. Now, let's go back to the topic. So I wanted to talk about attachments versus connections, kind of using your gift of discernment to further understand what or who are attachments in your lives versus connections. And so when we talk about attachments, we're talking about things that can be seen, or people, behaviors, even patterns that can be seen as unhealthy or one-sided or parasitic. And so essentially these attachments are the things and people, behaviors, patterns, mindsets that leave you feeling drained, that leave you feeling not enough, that leave you feeling inconsequential, or have you feeling less than. So that would be considered an attachment, and that can be your own behavior, your own patterns, your own mindsets, your own narratives that you've written for yourself or created. It can also be people, businesses, partnerships, relationships, even family and friend ties, where you can see an attachment versus what would be a connection. And a connection would be the polar opposite of an attachment. So where there's unhealthiness, there's healthiness. Where it is seen as one-sided, is that reciprocity being acted out. Where it is parasitic, instead it's symbiotic. And so it's a mutually gaining, mutually affirming, mutually edifying, mutually empowering dynamic. That is what you see in a connection. And so when we're looking at attachments versus connections, we're also considering how do I feel? So when attachments, when you're feeling drained, connections leave you feeling empowered, make you feel strengthened, kind of inspire or motivate you. Connections are edifying and encouraging and helps you to ascertain better who you are, ascertain better what you're supposed to be doing, your purpose, your passion. And those are the behaviors, the patterns, the mindsets. It's the people in your life who are pouring into you as you're pouring into them. And so it's that idea of reciprocity again. I am not just feeding someone else. I'm not just watering someone else. They're also feeding me. They're also watering me. I'm also understanding that I'm not in this alone. I'm very much connected, not attached, but connected to people who genuinely care about my well-being. And I think I might have mentioned it before, but in my mind, I call that my nurturing nucleus. And so my nurturing nucleus does not have a place or space for any attachments. I have close associates, I have family members, I've had friends who have been adjusted to associates who showed attachment properties. And so I had to make necessary adjustments and necessary changes that would be beneficial for both myself and the person in a healthy manner. And so we can adjust as necessary those connected to us or those attached to us in the proper ways. I always talk about having conversations. I always talk about honesty. Honest communication is one of the best gifts you can give yourself and other people. Sometimes you struggle to discern between attachments and connections because you're not being honest with yourself. You haven't been real with yourself about what it is that you need, what it is that you expect, what it is that you might require out of different dynamics, and even relationship with self. And if you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with others, and you can't then share what it is that you need with others because you haven't shared it with yourself. So taking that appropriate time, taking that needed time, that unique space and energy to kind of fill yourself out, I like to say sit in it. Sit in who you are. Sit in your discovery, rediscovery, your evolution, your transformation of self. That way, when you are given the opportunity to reach out to others, to connect with others, you'll be able to understand that, hey, this is not an attachment, this is a connection, and I need to feed this, I need to water this, I need to grow this. So when we talk about attachment versus connection, it's so very important to use your discernment. It's so very important to have an understanding. And in the Christian faith, we talk about a people perish for a lack of understanding because of a lack of vision, a lack of knowing. And so it's not enough to have the knowledge and the wisdom. You need to also have the understanding. And to me, understanding is defined as that knowledge and wisdom being applied to your daily life, to your principles. So it's not enough to have that principle. How are you putting it into practice? And so when we are discerning and understanding kind of our space and place in people's lives and vice versa, it's good to understand and have that discernment and understanding and knowledge of what it is that people are doing and how they're occupying space in our lives. Right? Yeah. So the gift of understanding the difference between attachments and connections and can go kind of a long way, because we are talking about familial dynamics, we're talking about friendships, partnerships, especially when you're going into partnership and you're trying to do entrepreneurial work and you're doing businesses. Having that knowledge of who you need to be connected to versus those who are trying to attach to you. Because not everybody who's smiling in your face is for you. Not all skin folk are kinfolk. Like, you have to know those who labor amongst you. And so I talk about knowing who you are and then knowing your circle and people who are surrounding you, because oftentimes, depending on who you surround yourself with, are going to be the same principles, habits, patterns, mindsets, narratives that you end up adopting. And so you want to ensure that those who are connected to you are healthy. They're breathing life into you. They're not speaking curses, but blessings into your life and their lives as well. Because it's that bondedness, it's that togetherness. And so as we're going through this holiday season, and I understand that it can be quite a journey. It can be tumultuous, it can be beautiful, it can be joyous, it can be sorrowful. But as you're going through this holiday season, you're navigating these different spaces, especially during the pandemic, knowing kind of who we're connected to, who we're attached to. I'll speak more about it in a different video, but going through the grieving process of loss and the difference between loss by choice, which means somebody intentionally leaves you, or loss without choice, which someone transitions out of the physical plane, so they die. Having that understanding and what that kind of looks like, and then appropriately and properly grieving for you and your unique experience. And so I'll talk to that in a different video at a later time. But grieving and understanding also the different positions and placements in your life and kind of how to navigate that as well is important, especially in the holiday season, especially as we are having extra time for those who are taking time off work, extra time to kind of reflect on this past year, which it feels like a decade, the past experience, the past relationships. I know for when I lost a few people in my life who I held dear. Some I've known for many years. Some have been like best friends since middle school versus others who I've known maybe for a short amount of time, maybe 6 months, 9 months. So a pregnancy of a friendship. But that's neither here nor there. It's kind of the understanding that there are seasons and people are going to flow in and out of your life. And some people are going to cleave to you, some people are going to leave you, but understanding that that's okay and kind of navigating that space as well is also essential. So when we talk about attachments versus connection, there's so many different layers to it. I think what I'm going to end up doing is teaching a class on it, possibly via Zoom, like a virtual aspect, since the pandemic is still full effect, and having people be able to access that information and kind of interact with me and ask me questions in reference to that topic, based upon my own experience and my own volition. And so I think I am going to do that. Drop a comment below and let me know if you're interested in doing that. Also, if this is on IG and you're seeing the video here or on Facebook, just drop a comment and let me know if you're interested in doing that. And I'll try to get some dates together about when we're going to talk about that particular topic and hold space for that, so that we can kind of delve deeper into that and hopefully edify and learn some new things with one another. But yeah, so just to conclude, keep in mind the different attachments and connections you have in your life. Do an audit, do a personal audit of self, do a personal audit of others connected to you, and go, hey, what about this relationship? What about this friendship? What about this? Oh, I'm going to get engaged to this person. Is this person holding the proper healthy space in my life? Am I holding healthy space in my own life and in the lives of others? What does that look like? And then there's potential for people who are attachments to become connections. So evaluating that, I talk about that in my first book about, the difference between friendships and leaves and branches and roots, and kind of the opportunity to provide communication that's honest with one another, and then ascertain whether or not there can be adjustments made. Can this person who was an attachment in my life become a connection? And what that will look like, what are the components of that, and how can we healthily do that? And so it's primarily, like I said, understanding self, being honest with self, and then identifying the differences between the attachments and connections and how to move forward from there. So on this third day of Kwanzaa, 26, 27, 28, yes, the third day of Kwanzaa, I'm imploring you to really kind of delve deep, take time for introspection, to identify the connections and attachments in your lives, and then how to move forward from there. Because I always say it's not enough to identify the problems, the issues, the generational curses. You then, once you have this information, need to equip yourself with the tools and resources to then find sustainable solutions. So if we have generational curses, what are the generational healing that comes in addition to that? Like, how do we heal it? When we find problems, then how do we get the solutions to change those problems? If we have negative narratives, how do we restore restorative writing? Like, how do we restore our stories? How do we change our stories so that they don't have to be doom and gloom? They can be positive. We can change the narrative. And so I'm really eager to kind of delve into various different topics, a diversity of healing modalities. I'm excited about that. I love you all. I encourage you all. This time can be very, like I said, tumultuous for many people. Honor yourself in the space that you're in. Give yourself time. Like I say all the time, healing is not linear. It's unique for your own journey. It doesn't have to be one of solitude or isolation, even during the pandemic. You have your spiritual doulas. You know those, or you are discovering those who are connected to you so that you all can do the work together. It's an individual journey, but it can be done collectively. And so I love you. Stay encouraged. Continue to sit in it, sit in your truth, sit in your understanding, and then be teachable and have the ability to unlearn things that are no longer serving you well, that are no longer aligned with your purpose and your passion. So y'all take care. Remember to check out magicofsacredarts.org. Let me know what you're thinking. If you need clarification or like a consultation, shoot me an email on magicofsacredarts@gmail.com. I love you very much. Have a great day. Take care, babies.